We're doing it. We're here.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. The sun is out and we're wearing two very different vibes.
Not only is the sun out, but it's extra special because it wasn't supposed to be out today.
I know.
There's nothing like a nice surprise.
There is nothing like a nice surprise. When's the last time you had a nice surprise besides this?
I don't remember. I'm usually unpleasantly surprised.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
The last nice surprise I got was like a little package in the mail. Like, you know, when you're like, oh, didn't expect this.
Well, I'm always expecting it because I'm one of those psychos who like tracks my package 7 times a day.
Yeah. Mine's like, oh, I forgot I ordered this.
That is nice. That rarely happens to me, but you're right. That's nice. When you like forgot or maybe you like pre-ordered something.
Yeah.
And it took a while to come in. Yeah,
that's a present from past Gabby to future present Gabby.
It is. It's lovely. You're so right.
How are you?
I'm okay. I was having a little bit of a facial dysmorphia day because we shot for my latest campaign, and you are very good at like hyping me up. But sometimes, you know,
I get it. Honestly, doing this podcast, I learned like sometimes you just don't like the way that you look.
It's also really hard when you're like shooting a lot. Like I just did that shoot for Converse.
Yep.
I'm doing this shoot for my thing. We do the podcast. It's like I feel like I'm looking at myself more than ever. And you know, when you're shooting like a whole shoot, it's like, you know this because you just did it, you're shooting me at every angle, and like some of those are gonna hit, that's the point, but then if you see one bad one, you're like, oh my god. And I'm the kind of person who, I think that like a normal person who's like not so mentally ill is normally thinks they look fine, and then once in a while in a bad photo they're like, ooh, that was a bad photo. I'm the opposite. I think I'm like always ugly, and then once in a while if I love a photo, I'm like, wow, that was a fluke. Like I look good at that.
But you have to remember it's just an angle.
I know. I judge myself by my worst angle.
That's not good.
My worst photo is what I think I look like all the time.
No. And do you, in your head, do you know that that's not true?
No.
Like
objectively, I know that it's like, from an outside perspective, it's probably not true, but to me, in my heart, it's true.
I mean, I get that. I think that I'm bigger than what I actually am, and sometimes I'll look back at photos and I'm like, oh, this has been a lifelong struggle, huh?
It's it's a mental health journey.
But you know what? We're addressing it. We're rectifying the situation, and we're on the come up.
Yep. That actually, dare I say, you're going to be pleasantly surprised by this.
What?
Leads me to my in.
Go for it.
My in is not making your problem other people's problem.
Ooh, tell me more.
So I am empathetic to childhood traumas.
Yeah.
Relationship pasts that are really dark. Mental illness. I am totally empathetic to that. I have all of that. I don't make it other people's problems.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not a problem. It's not something I struggle with, but I don't make it other people's problems. And that doesn't even mean that I don't like come to my closest friends like you or to Kellen to talk about it. But if I'm having like an ugly day, I'm not like bringing down the vibe of a party.
Yeah. Your triggers should be your responsibility and nobody else's.
Absolutely. And like, again, there's like nuance. Like, is it the responsibility of your closest friends to like, you know, help you through that? Of course. But there is also a point in time where it's like they can only help you so much, and they're also their own people.
Yeah.
You have to take the responsibility of figuring out how to like live life and be like a good friend and a good person and a good partner, and not constantly be like, well, I just have A, B, and C.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that like sometimes well, actually, you know this, like my top quality in a person, whether it's like romantically or in a friend that I love, is when people just like are fixers of their own life. Like they're not this victim complex of a person. They're like, I have this thing and it's not slowing me down, but I understand that it's something that I have to deal with, and I'm going to work towards that to like fix or actually just come up with a solution that will help me live an easier life.
Yeah.
I think it's so crazy when somebody just blames something on something they have. Like, if I just went around and I was like, well, I have ADHD, what am I gonna do?
And did nothing about it, and like, yeah, you just made other people's lives harder.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not
fair, it's selfish.
The first step is like self-awareness, is diagnosis, is all that, but it is the first step. It's not the first and only step. And it's like, yeah, that's a perfect example. Like, you have really bad ADHD. Part of that is time management, and sometimes that leads to you like not being punctual. Yeah. And this year you woke up and you were like, I am tired of not being punctual. It makes me feel bad. I know it annoys other people. Like, I don't want to be that person anymore. And are you going to like nail it every time? No, but I've noticed a huge difference. You were like 99% of the time now, like very punctual. And when you're not, you're very aware, and you like let me know ahead of time that you're going to be running late, and you like apologize. It's like, you wanted to fix that. And is your ADHD gone? No, you still struggle with that, but you wanted to fix something and be better at it, and you worked and you did it.
Yeah, because I have the desire to get better. I feel like that's the problem with certain people. Like, they don't have the desire to get better. They just want to put a name to it and be like, well, this is my life now.
Exactly. And it just bothers me. Like, at our age especially, I never want to be the person who's like making other people feel sad, bringing down the vibes of a party, making my partner feel like shit, like making other people's lives hard, or making people feel like they have to like walk around, you know, on eggshells with me. Like, I just don't want to be that person, and like nobody should want to be that person. My end is not making your problems other people's problems.
You heard it here first.
And I stand by it.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's your out?
My out is Finstas.
Love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why? For a few reasons. Baseline, it's creepy, right? It's creepy to like have a Finsta and be like, you know, like the idea of like switching your profile, like be like
you have to sign up for
getting down all comfy to like switch your profile and like look at all these people that's, as we've said in the last episode, freak behavior. But on a deeper level, emotionally, I just think it's bad for you.
Yeah.
Because you have like too much power with a Finsta. If it's a really good Finsta, it's like you could be... I've heard of people who have Finstas that are so good, so believable, that they're like following. They're not just going and creeping. They're like following people that they can creep on. The Finsta is so good, they're not worried about people wondering, is it a Finsta?
That's
it's
identity
like,
theft.
It's like identity theft vibes. It's not just like a blank profile. Like, they've made it good enough. That is insane to me.
I give it a pass if you're under 25.
25, I think, is still way too old. I think it should be 23.
Listen, that's fine. But if you are older than that, if you are my age and I catch you switching profiles to a Finsta, screams insecurity.
It does. And also on top of that, it's like, I feel like some people are so in their head about Instagram that they will use it, and it's not even really for creeping purposes. They just like don't want to look like they're like watching people's story too quickly, or that they're too obsessed with someone. Like, it's funny because I feel like I've been in, and it's funny because we're kind of talking about breakups today. I've been in relationships where people were like slightly turned off by the fact that I have like a few Instagram followers. But it's funny because those people who like post once a year and who, you know, like look down on anybody who has followers and who hate influencers, they're thinking about Instagram more than any influencer I know.
So
deeply. And it's like, those are the kind of people who have a Finsta so that they can be like watching their friends' stories because they don't want to be perceived as like being online enough. It's like you've lost the plot, babe. You've lost the plot.
I agree. I feel like if you are making a Finsta for the worry of like what people think of you, you're already so deep into the Instagram lore, you might as well just use your public.
Yes.
I've also like never personally have like wondered about something so much where I like would need to carry out a Finsta at my big age of 29.
Some people also don't have like backup emails. They're like making an email to make a Finsta.
Yeah, that's
like, crazy
that's
vibes.
Too much.
And you know what kind of spawned this? Actually, you, but in a positive way.
Okay.
There is, I'm not gonna get into it, but there's like a girl recently that has like come into our ether for like negative reasons.
Okay.
Gabby just be watching their stories from Maine. This girl doesn't even know her. She like maybe slightly knows that there's like some like low key beef. Don't follow each other, like one mutual. Gabby's just watching their stories from her Maine, doesn't follow her. It's awesome. It's kind of actually, it's a power move. It's like, I don't give a fuck about your opinion so much that I'm watching this and I don't care that you know. Yeah. Here I am.
I want you to, if you are looking that deeply, I want you to know that, I'm looking.
Yes. And you know what? It changed some. I haven't had a Finsta, I will say, on God. I haven't had a Finsta in probably like 8 years. I'm really good about it because I know if I have one, I will become a problem and a menace, and I will like look and creep on people. So I don't have one purposely to keep myself from doing that. But it really like sparked something in me to be like, damn, if I'm curious, maybe I just start. Because here I am, I'm watching.
Here's the thing. Like, are we going to pretend that Instagram's not for just watching?
Yeah.
That girl.
That's what it's for.
That girl is never going to come up to me and be like, saw you looking at my stories. I'd be like, you posted it.
Yeah. Also, so what?
Like,
am I not allowed to look at your stories? Go private, bitch.
I literally would just be like, okay, and?
God, and that's so powerful.
Like, what do you want me to do?
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous behavior. It's gorgeous behavior.
Oh, I love you.
So, anyways, yeah, you kind of inspired that a little.
Oh, I love that. I didn't even clock who you were talking about at first.
Yep.
And yes.
What's your ins and out? What is your in and out?
Okay, should I do in or out first? You pick.
Do your in.
My in is reality TV, but specifically this show that I'm watching right now.
What is it?
It's called Love Undercover, and it's on Peacock.
Okay.
And, get this premise. It's a show where soccer celebrities, famous soccer players.
Okay.
Took me a bit, huh? From different countries that are massive. Soccer is a massive sport.
Right. Just like not really in America, but
not really in
other
America.
places.
Yes. They go undercover in America, in Los Angeles, to find the love of their life that won't judge them because they're soccer celebrities.
Like, so that they can find somebody who's not like a gold digger?
Yes. Or gold digger.
Ooh.
See what I did there?
Is that a real term in the soccer world?
No, but I think I just coined it, huh?
Like girls who only date famous soccer players should be called gold diggers. That's incredible. Anyways, go on.
That should be the next title.
So what do the girls think the cameras are there for?
They think that they're dating international men. So they think that their type is just like these international men.
So it's American women?
Yes, but there is this boy on the show. His name is Lloyd, and he is so fine. He is Friday night fine, dude.
Who does he play for?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. But he is a professional soccer player.
Yes. And he's just like so cute on the show, and I literally binged it this entire week that Ryan was gone. And turns out like none of them really found love, but like such a good show. I love everything about reality TV. I love the random fucking premises. Yep. I love the little songs in between the scenes, like dig your boots into the ground, like shit like that. Like I love that shit. It's always the randomest songs. I love like the suspense. Like if you think about like a show that you love, like there's little music that's on the back of it when like a scene is on.
Oh yeah.
Picture that being your job.
1, 2, 3, and you're coming for me. And then the girl's like getting ready in the mirror.
She has like 8. She's just walking up the house.
Yep. She's walking slowly.
Yeah. I just love that.
Yeah,
I love reality TV. I think reality TV gets a bad rep, but like it's just escapism and it's fun.
I completely agree. I like get why it gets a bad rep, but I think that if you're like a fully formed adult who is like smart enough to understand that this is just like a guilty pleasure, it's amazing. I mean, I love reality TV.
And I also love those kinds of shows specifically just because it's like less like super heavy drama. I think sometimes reality TV just goes too far.
I agree.
And it's like too dramatic.
It's like traumatic for the people and you're like, you feel bad.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like I'm watching something I shouldn't. But like those kinds of shitty shows, I'm like, give me more.
Yep.
Anyways, Lloyd, I hope you found your girl.
I hope Lloyd finds his love.
I'll show you him.
Wow.
So
I love
fun.
that. I really love that.
My out is a little bit more serious.
Okay.
This is going to be a gentle reminder to everybody, and it's not groundbreaking news, but my out is microaggressions.
Ooh, okay.
Listen, I am aware that in many people's lives, I'm the token immigrant, Spanish speaker person in the group, and I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is like, okay, so like when you speak 2 languages, you're one person in the language, your native tongue, and you're another person in your other tongue.
Okay.
And those 2 people are sometimes kind of different because like your comfortability level, you maybe are like a little bit louder in one language, a little bit shyer in the other language. And I feel like when I try to mix those 2 Gabbies, a lot of my white friends, unfortunately, they say things like, oh, you're spicy, or like make Cinco de Mayo jokes. I'm not even Mexican.
Yeah.
And or like if I wear big hoops, like, oh, you look extra Hispanic today. Or they'll do like the code switching. And then it's like a clear reminder to me that I'm different, and I'm fine with being different. But like, I'm not going up to a girl who's white and is wearing like aloe leggings and a slick back bun being like, you look extra white today.
Right. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people do it to white passing Hispanics like me because they think it's like safe, quote unquote, but it's not. And like, I don't fuck with that.
I love that. I love that you're saying that, because I do think it's hard to sort of like, when you have like friends that you know are good people, it's like, it's different than when you like hear a story and you read it online and you don't know the people and you can be like, that's a microaggression, that's fucking weird. But when you know these people and you love them and you know they have good intentions, it's harder to like hold them accountable for certain things. And then maybe you get home and you like kind of replay the night and you're like, oh, that made me like uncomfortable. And it should be okay for you to feel uncomfortable and to be uncomfortable with something somebody said, even if they have the best of intentions.
Yeah, I never think that my friends are like racist, but I think like subconsciously it's a problem. And I think that next time, instead of just laughing along, I need to just be like, wait, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Completely. I remember the first time that I ever called someone out for something like that. You'll probably remember this. It was with my ex. And my ex, very, known to our friend group, had like a 14-person friend group. And not one of them was like a person of color, not even half, not even like white passing. Like, it was actually kind of shocking that you could live in LA and live in such a like diverse neighborhood, gentrified neighborhood, and they all worked in such a diverse industry, and find 14 people and like there's not one even like half Hispanic person in your friend group. It always sort of like made me feel a little bit like weird.
Yeah.
But the thing that finally got me was like, one of them, again, very, very white, only white people at this party, was throwing like a Cinco de Mayo party and like, was like making tacos.
Sombreros?
There was a sombrero on the invite.
That's crazy. You guys, that's crazy.
It's crazy. And then I remember when I brought it up to the guy that I was seeing at the time, he was so... Instead of like being understanding in any way, he was so, what's the word when you're like?
Defensive?
Yeah. He was so defensive and acted so confused. And this is somebody who had like, who was borderline like white savior complex around like BLM and stuff, and like online was very woke.
Loves Bernie Sanders.
When the only person that you know that's even like, and I'm also a white passing, no sabo Hispanic kid, and I'm like having to tell you this and you can't even meet it with like a semblance of understanding. That was the first time that I was like, oh, somebody who like really thinks they are extremely like liberal woke can still get it wrong. And also like kind of a bummer that a lot of times they're like, they won't even meet you with like, I understand where you're coming from, or I don't understand, but I still accept that what you're saying is valid.
Or at the very least, curiosity. I welcome curiosity. Like if you're like, oh, do you celebrate Cinco de Mayo? Like, I know you're Hispanic, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. But to your point, it's like, why are you pretending? What is this like performative allegiance that we're all one and the same, but like you're also throwing a fucking party with like mad white people?
Yes
For a Mexican holiday.
Can we talk about the Salma Hayek thing?
Yeah. This sucks because okay, so I'm obviously Hispanic. I'm from Costa Rica, and we were all in a group one day, and this is like somebody I consider a friend too, and it was just like 5 girlfriends and we were like, oh my god, who's your celebrity who's your celebrity lookalike? And I didn't really have an answer for myself, and one of the girls who's white goes, oh, you look like Salma Hayek.
That's crazy.
That's literally like going up to somebody who's black and just saying the first black person that pops up in your mind
without any actual thought for features.
me and Salma Hayek aren't even cousins.
Like, not even close.
Aren't even distant cousins.
It's just, I don't know, you both have dark brown hair. Like, I'm literally, I'm...
To the point where, like, my other white friend, like, clocked him, was like, yeah, that was fucking weird.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And again, it's, like, not that they meant anything negative by it. But it's just, it's so obvious that, like, are you, like, their only Hispanic? Like, it's just...
And I am, and, like, I probably am. And it's just, like, those moments where I'm like, fuck, am I just here to teach white people how to be, like... You know what? Actually, this is my PSA that if you're a white person specifically, just think twice about something that you're going to say to somebody that doesn't look like you. Just think twice. Have a second thought.
Yeah. It's also because I feel like there are people who are like, you know, we shouldn't have to like make this obvious, but I will just to negate any like weird comments. We are obviously white skin.
Yes.
We're talking about culturally though.
Yes.
Culturally. If you are Caucasian and culturally white, and you have a friend who is culturally Hispanic, skin color, otherwise, you are going to have differences.
Yes.
And it's okay to, like, acknowledge that.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like Hispanics do a great job. We realize that, like, there are levels to Hispanicness, too. Like, I'm an immigrant who came to America young. I have privileges that another kind of Hispanic looking person might not, for the way that I look. I have lighter skin tone. I am more European looking than most Hispanics.
You don't have an accent.
I don't have an accent. I have privilege like within my Hispanicness.
Yeah. And then mine is even higher.
Yes.
I'm not even an immigrant.
Yes. And we are aware of that. So I just like don't understand like where the disconnect with certain other races comes, where you like you can't just like take yourself out of your own race and like give a person who doesn't look like you or maybe doesn't have the same experiences as you that respect of like just being more curious and less like, oh, I have you pegged. You're Mexican. You speak Mexican. And that's who you are in my book.
Yeah. Or I think a lot of times people think if they're not being like overtly black and white racist, that it's not going to bother someone.
Yeah.
Like this is such a little one, but it does bother me. I notice oftentimes like, so I think a lot of times Gabby and I both code switch.
Yeah.
I think that I have like, you know, I'm very Americanized and I'm not an immigrant myself, but obviously my family is Hispanic. And also not only that, I grew up in Miami. So I grew up in a extremely Hispanic culture. Everything about my like likes and dislikes and food likes, everything is very culturally Hispanic. And also growing up in Miami, it's like, even though I'm a no sabo kid, like I still can like tend to have an accent on certain, that's just growing up in Miami. That's a very Miami thing. But I subconsciously find myself code switching. I think if I, you know, I'm around a lot of like culturally white people, obviously I'm not speaking the same way I am when I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And we can be like fully ourselves and I feel like I'm back in Miami or I feel like I'm around my family, which is how I feel with you.
Same.
Because you're my best friend, but also because you are also Hispanic. Mm-hmm. And I do notice, you know, my L's get a little heavier in the way that I talk, or I'm a little louder. I talk more with my hands and stuff like that. And that's fine because we are both Hispanic. Mm-hmm. But I notice a lot of times that like white friends will start to mimic those things.
Yeah.
Like, instead of saying like lost, they'll say lost.
Yeah.
And it's like, where the fuck did that come?
Yeah.
It's like, we are allowed to code switch. You are not allowed to code switch because you're in the presence of people with that culture.
Yeah, just
That's
because
crazy.
I'm doing it with somebody else who's Hispanic doesn't mean that you are allowed to like chime in.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like the same person that I dated like thought that it was like weird that I did that. Like they were like, you talk different around like Gabby than you do around this person. And it's again crazy to me. This like wasn't that long ago. This was like a few years ago. It's like crazy to me that they couldn't just like understand that like maybe I'm just more comfortable with like being more in tune with my culture around people who share that, and that I'm like maybe whiting myself up a little, frankly.
And that's honestly a lot of the experience of being somebody who isn't just fully white in America. Like that's just true. You have to kind of not have to, but you feel the need to code switch around certain people. I'm on Slack with my white peers being like, awesome, totally great. I'm not saying that shit to you. You know, like I'm not saying that shit to my mom.
Right.
It's just a part of it. And I don't know. I feel like it's not inherently racist, but you should think more. All right, let's lighten it up a bit, huh?
Let's lighten it up a little.
What are we talking about today?
Breakups?
Breakups, shake up.
Yeah. What was your last breakup? How did it go?
Oh, God, I'm an old woman now. My last breakup. Okay. I think that my last breakup went terribly. Not for me. I think that sometimes I have this problem where I don't attach myself to somebody fully, or I go the opposite route and I'm so into it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of know, like, right at the beginning, and with this person.
Who is this, by the way? Nickname?
Targaryen.
Got it.
I kind of know right away, and with this person, that wasn't happening. Actually, that wasn't my last breakup. My last breakup was Drummer Boy.
Little Drummer Boy.
Mm-hmm. That one too. That one was like the same vibes.
Same vibes, yeah. People like love you. Like really, like
yeah.
All of your breakups are so dramatic and you're like not bringing the drama.
I'm like, what? Okay.
They're like, what? I don't get it. I poured my heart out for you.
I'm like, can we still hook up? No, listen, here's the thing. With this one specifically, I kind of wanted it out because I just knew it wasn't a match. And when I found out that he had hooked up with somebody that he told me he hadn't, I kind of like unfortunately saw that as an out.
Yeah.
And I like was angry about the situation. But in my head, if we're being honest, I was like, okay, cool, I have an out.
Yeah, it's hard because I feel like you had the same.
Is that bad to say?
No.
Okay.
You had the same, I think, sort of experience with Little Drummer Boy that I had with, let's call him Blue Eyes.
Yes.
It's like they were perfect on paper.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to take yourself out of something when you're single and you're really looking and you want to find your person, when somebody is perfect on paper and really likes you. You almost, unfortunately, in a selfish way, keep it going longer because you're almost just like maybe like hoping the feelings will hit you.
Yeah.
And they won't. Like, you pretty much know or you don't in the beginning. And like, I think that like our partners are a good like testament to that. But I do think that was the same thing. It's like he really liked you. And at his core, he was a really good person. And he had a lot of great attributes, but it just like wasn't it. Same with Blue Eyes. It's like he had so many good attributes. I thought he was handsome. He was talented. He came from a good family. But it just like, I was forcing it.
Something was missing, and even if you can't put your finger on it, you know how you feel.
Yes.
And that's what matters.
Yes. And I feel like you force it though, because it's like they will be a great partner to someone else.
Because part of me, I think that I came from like very unstable relationships prior to that one, and so I thought it was a defense mechanism that I was doing, where I was like, what, I can't accept good love, and sometimes that might be the case, but with this one specifically, I was just like missing something that I wasn't getting from this person, and they weren't like they were just really stuck on the fact that they really liked me, and I felt like when I'm put on a pedestal like that, I don't do super well. I kind of feel like a dancing monkey, and I don't really like that. There's probably people out there that do like that, and I hope he has found his person, but like I think that's what it was for me. What was it like with Blue Eyes? Was it like similar?
I feel like, yeah, it was like, I remember one time I realized, I sort of like clocked that the discrepancy between how much we liked each other was a little too off. I think it's always like not always fully even, but it was like really skewed his way. And I remember having a conversation with him and being like, hey, like, I think we should probably cool this, mostly because I think that like you are looking for something that I am not ready and may not ever be ready to give you.
Oh, that's such a hard conversation.
Yes. But the worst part is like he kind of did the thing that honestly like more historically women do, where he was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm fine for this to be casual. And I this is the worst part. I almost had to be like, no, you're not. Like, I know you're not. Yeah. I know you're not. And I think you're saying that because you want, you know, the other shoe to drop, and you think if we continue this, even in a casual way, that I'll like wake up one day and things will change. I've been that person. I don't think I'm gonna get there.
I've seen this play before, and like I've been on the other end, and like that's just not how it's gonna go.
It's just not how it's gonna go.
And you can't help who you feel certain ways about, unfortunately.
You can't.
If I did, listen, I probably would have had like a long, fruitful life with that kid. But like that wasn't my journey.
It just wasn't your journey.
How long do you think it takes you to like, back when you were single, to clock if you were really gonna like somebody? or not? Like, how many dates? How many hangs?
2.
Yeah, I feel like after
it's early.
The second one,
yeah,
you're like, okay.
And listen, again, I've kept it going past that because I really kind of hoped things would change, or maybe I thought they were really attractive, or maybe they were really fun and they, whatever. But I think 2 dates, I know if I like could seriously date you or not.
Yeah.
And I think that goes for everyone.
I agree.
Like, I think if you're 4, 5, 6 dates in and somebody's still in the phase where they're like, I'm just like not really like, I'm still trying to get to know, it's like, you know.
And I get that, like, dating, especially right now, is hard. Like, we hear stories all the time.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
But, like, I would personally rather be single than to be, like, forcing something. And I think that's where the conversation between, like, alone versus lonely comes in. You know what I mean? It's, you have to be comfortable with being alone to date. I
agree. It's okay to have times where you're lonely, but it's like, yeah, my God, I know people who cannot be alone.
Yeah.
They cannot be with themselves. And also, it's like keeping that energy up in a relationship too. It's like, I know people who are in relationships or even just like dating people, and once they've like gone on a few dates, like, cool, so now every single ounce of free time we have should be together. That's not true. It is okay for someone to want to spend time away from you. That doesn't even necessarily mean they don't like you. It is like okay to want separate time.
Yeah, I think that like that was something that I really, really loved about Ryan when I first got to know him, was like he wanted time to himself and respected my time to myself. I'm somebody who like has to recharge her batteries alone.
Yes.
And it's kind of a red flag when somebody can't do that. It's kind of giving I'm not fully fulfilled with myself, or like I feel insecure about what you're doing with your time.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of going to give you that time, but I'm waiting for you. But I'm not really using my alone time to the best advantage.
Yeah. I feel like Kellen definitely needs a lot less alone time than I do, but he has always been very respectful of that difference in us. He has always been very respectful. He has never made me feel bad for wanting to spend time alone. He's never even done that thing where like I need time alone and he'll text me after 10 minutes and be like, miss you. Like, because that is sort of a little bit manipulative. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, when he gives me that time, he gives me that time.
Yeah. And there will be like ebbs and flows of whether you feel alone and lonely. There have been times in my relationship when Ryan's on tour where I do feel lonely.
Of course.
And there have been times in the relationship where Ryan's on tour and I'm like, oh, that went by very quick. And you have to like take them as they come and know that like loneliness isn't a feeling that's always going to loom in your life. And you just have to like accept it for what it is and clock why you feel lonely. And listen, you can feel lonely even like, not to sound Tumblr, but like in a room full of people.
Yeah.
So
that was so Tumblr though.
Yeah, but kind of true, huh?
It eats.
Kind of snapped. And you just, I don't know. I feel like when you feel those negative feelings of loneliness or I'm not enough or whatever it is, you have to have like a check-in with yourself of why you feel that way.
Yeah. Why is it so hard for me to be alone? What makes me uncomfortable about it?
Yeah.
And 2, what makes me uncomfortable about being separated from my partner? Is it a control thing? Is it an insecurity thing? Is it an anxious attachment thing? And figuring that out for yourself. Like, you owe it to the person you're with to clock these like unhealthy negative feelings and figuring them out for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you just touched on something that I want to touch on. Has an attachment style that you have ever been the cause of a breakup for you? Because I personally don't think that we all carry the same attachments. I don't personally think that we all carry the same attachment style throughout life.
Yeah.
I think that like it's a changing
completely
thing over time. But has that ever happened to you?
I think I am going to be up my own ass for a second right now. I think that I exhibited anxious attachment style in my last relationship, but I don't think that was the cause of why we broke up. And frankly, I think I was only anxious attachment style because of their behavior.
I was about to say, I don't think that you're an anxiously attached person. I think that it depends on the person and how they're making you feel.
They brought those insecurities out in me based on their behavior and their issues. And that makes me sound like a crazy girl who's trying to like, find an excuse, but that situation, anybody who knows it knows. Yeah. I'm not an anxious person. I was anxious in that relationship. I was looking at their ex's Instagram page often. I was like going through their like Spotify, like not on their phone, but I was like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But here's the thing is I was finding things. Like I remember I went through their Spotify and I remember thinking like, this is so not me. This is such like a boundary cross. Like this is like, I shouldn't be doing this. Found out that them and their ex were still adding songs to their breakup, to their couple playlist. Yeah. So it's like at one point, and I think this is so hard for women, is finding the line between anxious attachment style and gut feelings. Yeah. I've had that problem. But in that relationship, it's like that person was just in love with their ex. Yeah. That wasn't really my fault.
And you were anxious for a reason.
I was anxious for a reason. Or it's like, they'd be like, oh yeah, we don't talk anymore. But then their ex would like rogue drop off like a very, very like personal homemade birthday gift of like their pet they shared together. When we were like saying I love you and dating and them and their ex weren't talking, they like rogue drove to their house and would like dropped off like a painting of a pet they shared together.
Yeah, that's like so intimate.
It's so intimate. It's such a fucking boundary cross. Yeah. It's so disrespectful. And it's like they didn't realize. Like they were like, what's wrong with this? They hung it up.
While you were dating?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah. That's fucked up crazy behavior.
Yeah. No, yeah. I feel like obviously you were anxiously attached at that one. I feel like every time that I've been anxiously attached in a relationship, it's because I'm not being fulfilled with communication or respect.
I do want to preface though, some of y'all are just anxious.
Yes, of course. Of course. I'm speaking about my own.
Yes. I don't want somebody there. No. Listen, you have to be able to figure out for yourself if that is the case, which is very valid. Yeah. Or if you are actually just insecure and anxious. Yeah. If your partner has never given you a real reason to not trust them.
And you're acting out.
Or you can't not spend time with them, or you're looking at their phone or whatever, that's a you problem.
Yeah, you can't. And also, like, I think it's important to say you can't blame past relationships for
your behavior in new relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Like, those two are such different realities and situations.
It's unfair.
It's very unfair to your new partner, and it's not a stable foundation.
I completely agree.
There have been times I think I've been avoidant attached.
Yes.
I think that, like, that was my defense mechanism for a lot of the ends of my relationships. Or I've been like very anxiously attached. Arthur was one where I was very anxiously attached, but again, it was because of what they were doing, right, or lack of doing.
Well, I feel like a lot of times anxious attachment comes out of feeling a lack of control. Yeah. And sometimes that lack of control is valid, and they are like quite literally making you feel out of control. And sometimes I think that's just like a personal thing where you have control issues, and at the end of the day, like, you can't control everything in a relationship. Yeah. But in your situation, it was like, yeah, it's like you're watching them date other people, but they're telling you that they love you, and they're sending you page-long emails when they're telling you that they don't want a girlfriend. It's like, what are you supposed to feel in that situation other than anxious?
Yeah, and I think that, like, I think a lot of us are lying. I think a lot of us say that we're securely attached, and we're not. Even, I think I hold myself to a high standard of thinking that I am securely attached. Yeah. But there are some times where I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I say that? And I've been in a relationship for 7 years now. I think that it's important to have a conversation with yourself of like, how am I presenting in this relationship? Am I being fair to my partner? And sometimes you have to remember that relationships end, and your version of the breakup isn't the truth, nor is it their version of the breakup. Mm-hmm. And I think that sometimes, like, the way that you speak about breakups towards the end says a lot about you.
I agree.
Like, where you stand on the matter.
Why do you think that some people who know that someone is wrong for them or are frankly just unhappy stay in relationships and prolong breakups? Why do people everybody prolongs breakups, I think, to an extent. Why do you think that is?
I think it's scary to not know what's going to happen. I think people hate change, and the unknown is scarier than what they do know.
Even if, like, what they know is unhappy.
Yeah, I've heard the saying, like, I'd rather sleep in the same bed as the devil than, like, meet the one I don't know. Or that's like a Spanish saying. I don't know if it's the same in English. But that always made sense to me, because it's like, if you aren't confident or betting on yourself, it is hard to leave a relationship.
Yeah.
When everything you know is bad, you're like, well, how could me leaving make it better?
Right.
That's hard.
Things will be worse in a different way, or things will be bad in a different way. I'll be unhappy in a different way.
But the common denominator that all these people that are like that have is that like there's no confidence within yourself
to make yourself happy.
Yeah, like no need, or maybe there's a desire for better, but like you're not doing anything about it.
100%. Yeah. I agree. I think a lot of times I did that a lot when I was younger. I would prolong things. A lot of times too, I was just like comfortable. Like I wanted like a warm body. Like the idea of sleeping alone I didn't like, or the idea of having to like go out and date again was really scary. And frankly, I look back and it was fucked up that I like led people on longer than I should have because of those reasons. Yeah. Like that was unfair. Yeah. I did that, I feel like, in my really big relationship, with Castle, we'll call him. I feel like I knew that relationship was over like a year prior.
Yeah, but I think that that's what your 20s are about. Like, I think that sometimes it's so... I had this moment with Ryan when we first moved in together, and we were on the verge of a breakup. It was not going well. We were fighting every single day. And we had this moment where we were like, is this the end?
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes, like to your point, you know that something should be better, but you're comfortable.
Yeah. Or, you know what I think happens a lot too in longer term relationships? A lot of times I think you feel like you've put so much time and energy into something.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, you feel like, a lot of times breakups make you feel like a failure. Yeah. Breakups feel, even though they're not, breakups so often feel like like you failed yourself, like you failed the other person, you failed your family.
Time is the only thing you can't get back.
You cannot get time back. And I think a lot of times people are really scared of admitting failure by breaking up and saying, this didn't work. But I tried, but this didn't work.
But it's so brave to like start over.
It is. And honestly, and this is what I feel like I have a lot of friends, I tell a lot of friends this, especially girlfriends, because I think girls oftentimes feel more like, it's easier, I think, for guys to end things. I think a lot of times women really can feel like failures if they're having to end a relationship. And I think a lot of times they get lost in the like negative sauce, for lack of a better term. If you are dealing with that, one thing I love to tell people is to like, as much as this isn't maybe like, you wouldn't want the person you're breaking up with to know you're thinking this, think of like the fun aspects of being single. Think of like that feeling of new possibilities, you know, of going out and looking good and knowing that like you could meet someone and that you could just even like flirt, or, you know, you have all of this newfound freedom. And I think a lot of times people see those things as scary, but like if you look at them as fun, I think it's helpful too.
But you know what's hard about that? Like, I think that if you're in a phase in your life where all your friends have boyfriends or significant others,
that's true. It's
so tough to think that way, because then you have to like seek out your like single friends who sometimes aren't super healed.
Yeah, I think I always forget that, because we have a very, very, we're very lucky that I think we have the kind of friend group that even though a lot of us are taken, we'll go out with our single friends.
Yes.
We have very independent relationships.
Yeah.
All of us.
None of
us are very like anxiously attached. And so it's like, if one of our friends was single, we're like, oh, let's all get hot and go out.
Yes.
We do that all the time.
Yes.
And I forget that a lot of people don't have that. Yeah. A lot of people like are in relationships where like if one of them's going out, the other one's going out.
Yeah, or like it's just like you're friends with your significant other's friends, and that's about it.
Yes. So, you know, there's nuance and stuff like that.
No, but I agree.
There's an excitingness to being freshly single. You know, it's like everybody I know who gets freshly single also gets like miraculously hot.
Yes, they always look so much hotter. They get a little chop. It's kind of like shedding some dead weight.
Yes.
And that's fun. That's kind of like how I feel when the new year starts.
You have this like pep in your step. You have this like fire under your ass, because now you sort of have to present again for the first time to be your like hottest, best self.
Yeah, you just did something so brave and something that you have been wanting to do and breaking up with the person, and now you have to like show something for it.
It's like in my last relationship, I didn't want it to end so bad. They broke up with me. I was really heartbroken. Yeah. I'm glad that we broke up, but
it was tough.
In the moment, it was really tough. Less than a year after that, I literally made more money than I've ever made in my entire life, probably combined. I bought a house. Yeah. I am the most attractive I've ever been, the most confident I've ever been.
You changed your style.
I'm the most successful I've ever been. And I also met the love of my life.
Yeah.
it's like
you never know what's around the corner.
You never know. And it's like I look back and I would have been, even if we stayed together, I would have always been anxious about their ex and worried about how I fit in with all their, weird friends. And like real, true happiness and success was right around the corner. But I had to go through that shitty breakup to get there.
Did you ever feel weird about me not being like super close to that boyfriend?
I did. I think I wanted it really bad.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to like push it on you.
Yeah.
But that is a pretty big sign that I probably should have seen.
I had always been close to your boyfriends.
Yep.
Or like hanging out with them.
Yeah. And you're even close with Kellen.
Yes. And I feel like with that one, it was just like, I just didn't feel it.
Yep.
Did that ever pop in like
no
into your head?
I was so love goggles with that person.
Yeah.
I was looking everything that I'm saying now, and by the way, this person isn't a bad person,
no.
But everything that I'm saying now sort of like negatively, I didn't even see until like months after. Like I was deeply love goggles with that person.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. It's like the second that like veil is lifted and you actually end and you actually have real space, it's like you see all those things.
I had no reason to dislike him. I just like didn't think it was a good match for you.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
I think you could just see that more objectively because you weren't the one in love.
Yeah.
But it's like I was forcing the fuck out of that relationship.
Yeah, but I think that in your 20s, like, it's good to go through those kooky experiences because it does teach you like what you deserve and like what you want out of life. Like, I don't think it's bad to go through experiences that may hurt you ever in your life, but especially in your 20s, because like you just grow from that.
Yeah, I agree.
You want to hear something crazy I did in a breakup one time?
Please.
I knew that it was the end with this guy when I was like 21.
Okay.
22 maybe? No, 21. And this is like right before I moved to LA. And he was like, he was a musician.
Classic.
And he threatened to kill himself if I like broke up with him. Like, it was just like crazy.
Manipulative as fuck.
And he was older than me, so I was like, oh, stupid. But I knew that he had been cheating on me, but I had no proof. I just had like an inkling.
Okay.
And I was like, well, how the fuck am I gonna capture this? Because I had already like called him out on it once, and he like got the girl to like say that like it was fake. So like I just looked crazy.
Master manipulator.
Crazy shit, dude. And so I made a fake Instagram. Speaking of Finstas, and I like, Rhea, this is so fucking crazy. I went on a random girl's page. I think it was like a Glossier comment. Like I went on Glossier's page and I looked up like which girl looked the prettiest that had commented on something, and I just stole her identity.
Okay.
Her name was Blair. And like the fake girl's name was Blair.
Yeah.
And I made Blair's Instagram, and I went to Guitar Boy's DMs and I sent a message. I was like, hey, I think you're really cute. Love your band. He fell for it. Just like that.
Wow.
And I talked to him, quote unquote, for about like 2 weeks because I knew I needed like hardcore proof. Yep. And then I was like, by the way, Blair told me everything. And yeah, we ended. I just like didn't know how to get out of it.
To this day, does he know that Blair was you?
No. One thing about me is I'm an actress. Clapping for myself is crazy.
No, it's amazing, and you deserve it. A crazy thing that I did once was after one of my relationships ended, and I was really upset over it, but we were kind of in that phase where we were still like talking and like fighting and
Wait,
like just
nickname?
Narnia.
Okay.
We were like in that phase where we were still like talking and fighting and like sort of just like prolonging the pain. I would purposely pick fights with them on Wednesdays because I knew that they had therapy on Wednesdays, so that the sessions would be about me.
That's nuts. Dude, that's nuts.
We've all been 24.
We've all been 24. That is a fact. That is a fact.
Come on.
One thing I did with my now husband is I sent an email.
You sent an email. This email, first of all, like I'm going to preface this. This
lore.
Email is iconic. Like everybody in the friend group know. Like this email has deep lore. If you just say the email in front of any of Gabby's friends, like they know what it means. Like,
and there's life pre-email and post-email.
Yes.
And right when me and Ryan were like starting to see each other, Ryan like just wasn't taking me as seriously as he should have. Like, I'm a catch. One thing about me is I'm a catch.
I never think that men are actually scared of their feelings. I think that's always a cop-out for girls to feel better about rejection. He was actually scared of his feelings.
Yeah, I think he knew the reality of the situation. And I think he was just like, oh, I didn't expect to meet this person at 27.
Yes.
I sent an email when we stopped talking. Like, we were kind of seeing each other, but not dating. And we had stopped talking because he wanted a break. And I like don't super believe in breaks, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I think that they're just, it's like, just break up with me. Yeah. Like, it's a soft breakup.
I've never wanted to go on a break. Yeah. Like with someone that I was really in love with.
I'd either want to figure it out or get dumped. Yeah. So I wrote him this email, and I probably had you proofread it, huh?
Yeah, 100%.
And it was just like saying everything I felt, and it was just kind of like ripping him a new one. And I was like, your mother would be disappointed. It
was harsh.
Just so many things, but it was real. It was true and honest, and that was my truth. And I sent it without the intention of like getting anything back. I just wanted him to know like where I was at. And yeah, I was mean. I'm a fucking like 23-year-old girl at this point. It was mean.
Heartbroken. There's nobody meaner than a heartbroken 23-year-old girl. Yes,
and I was a little dramatic about it. Ryan had always been honest with me about where he was at, but I wanted something more. And so I will say a little cuckoo, but he read it, and then we got back together.
And now you're married.
And now I'm married, so write that email.
He needed it.
He needed it.
He needed it.
I don't think he would say that he needed it, but he needed it. Whatever. Okay, but don't you think that breaks are kind of like soft breakups, like soft launch into a breakup?
Yeah, I feel like breaks are for cowards.
Breaks are for cowards. It's like
you know what? You know what's the most common break? This is the most common break.
What?
Two people are dating. One of them really wants to break up, but is sort of a pussy. They finally get the balls to initiate the breakup conversation. And the person who's still deeply in love with them and doesn't want it to end says, what if we just go on a break? That's their way of prolonging. And the person is still being such a pussy that
That's a pause button.
Okay, that's fine. That gives me another week to be a pussy. That's fine. Eventually, you're still going to break up.
I just like don't understand. Like, why would you even want to break for like a week? I just like don't get that.
The only time that I think a break is necessary, and I wouldn't even know if I'd call this a break, but the only time I would say that like, I guess like designated space is if someone in a relationship where two people still very much love each other has an oopsie and does something
and they don't know where to go,
really hurts the other person, and maybe they both know that they still want to be together, but like that person needs space. That's different. But if somebody comes to you,
that's more mature,
sort of like in a breakup fashion, and it ends with a break, they're just prolonging the inevitable.
Yeah, dude.
A breakup turned break is a problem.
If Ryan came up to me and was like, let's take a break, I'd be like
unprompted,
let's break up.
That's breakup.
Like,
that's breakup.
You don't want to communicate with me?
Right. Versus if it's like, hey, we've been dealing with this very specific thing, maybe some space would be helpful. That's different. But if somebody out of nowhere is just like, I think we should take a break, they just want to break up with you and don't have the balls to say it yet.
You are spitting.
And that's that on that.
Wait, I have a superpower. I can tell when somebody's going to break up.
Yeah. Okay, listen, Gabby is so good at knowing when people are going to break up, and also just knowing when people like aren't a right fit. Even if they break up like years later, I feel like you just like always know. And you have some really good theories about couples that like inherently are mismatched, and I think you should expand on them.
Yes. Okay. Here's Gabby's rules to knowing when you're going to break up. And I really do nail it every time.
Yes.
Huh? Okay, so if your guy has it, or whoever the more like aggressor of the relationship is, hasn't proposed to you after 5 years.
5 adult years.
Oh, yeah, 5 adult years.
Because if you started when you were 16, obviously it doesn't.
No. 5 adult years, you're done for.
I kind of agree.
Because it's just like, what's the holdup? And like, after 5 adult years, you should know if you want to marry that person or not.
Yes.
I think it's a cop-out when it's like about money. I think it's a cop-out when it's like, we need more, this, that. No. If you are about that person, you will be about that person and you will show them.
100%.
Another one is if they don't post the person that they're with.
I hate to say it, but I agree. Unless you just don't have social media.
Yeah. But no Instagram is too artsy. No, listen, Ryan posts like his film pics, like music pics, everything. Always a post about me.
Same. I'm in between tour flyers. And
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And I know that people are like, it's just Instagram. It doesn't matter. Let's be honest. It does matter because you're thinking about it so deeply. Once again, you're thinking about it so deeply that you're not posting me.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
There's something iffy about that.
If you're not on their feed, if somebody could look at their Instagram and deduce that they're possibly single, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's how I can tell when somebody's cheating too. Yeah. I can always spot a cheater. I can spot a cheater from a mile away.
Yep.
Are there any others?
I feel like you have another really good one, and I feel like this is so accurate, and this is going to ruffle some feathers.
Let's ruffle.
In every relationship, there is a little bit of an imbalance in obsession, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think that's normal.
Yeah.
But in heterosexual relationships, if the woman is the one who is more obsessed, it never works.
Yes.
Straight men cannot be with a woman that they think that they are a little bit, that they like them less. It doesn't work.
It's also my black cat golden retriever theory. If the woman is the black cat and the man is the golden retriever, it works. Mm-hmm. If the woman is more golden retriever and the man's more black cat, it very seldom works.
Yeah, and I think that those kind of like parallel because I think oftentimes the black cat is the one who like doesn't show their feelings as much. If the woman is the one who's like, let's go do this, let's go do that, I'm obsessed with you, and the guy's like, yeah, I'm down for whatever. I have never seen that dynamic in hetero relationships ever work out.
I have never seen it either. Your man should be a little bit sillier than you.
And more obsessed with you.
Like, okay, for example, Vanessa Hudgens and Austin Butler, she's a silly Billy in the relationship, or she was, and they were together for like 100 years. And then they broke up. Kaya Gerber is more serious to me.
More
black cat than Austin Butler is. And they're both black cats, but she is more black cat. And that's why it works.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I hate to say it, but if the woman is the one who is like, so more obviously obsessed, doing a lot of things, going out of their way for the person, getting them little gifts, and that like energy isn't like reciprocated. They're like, that's just not the way I am. It never works.
Yeah, it's not fulfilling.
A man has to be, not to be, I'm Challenger's pilled right now. He has to be art about you. He has to worship you like a dog.
Find your art.
Yeah, he has to be pining over you.
Yeah.
If the man is like lukewarm about you, he's lukewarm about you.
Yeah, like a man will always tell you exactly where he's at, even if not in words.
In their actions.
Sorry, bud. Sorry. Wait, we have a couple questions from the audience.
By
the way, if you want to ask us questions about literally anything, there is a Google form in our link tree where you can ask So True Bestie an anonymous question. That's my plug.
Woo!
Also, if you notice me mewing in any future episodes, mind your business. I am on the path to become the Crimson Chin.
I love this for you.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Have your partners ever asked for space or a break where you just don't talk for like a week or two? This has happened to me twice now, and I'm starting to feel like maybe I'm overbearing or maybe this is normal and I'm just overreacting, ? Personally, if I love someone or feel comfortable in our relationship, I want to hear from you on the daily. Is this just a thing that men do in relationships?
No, we kind of answered this and expanded on it already, so you kind of got your answer before you even asked it. He doesn't like you enough, and you deserve somebody who's obsessed with you. You have to hit him with the reverse Uno card and say, actually, I want to just break up.
Yes, because you're saying it's happened to you twice now. You have set the precedent that you are okay with this energy from him, that you're okay with him giving you 50%.
Yep.
This man will never show up at 100% because you unfortunately have like, I don't want to blame you, but like, I'm not blaming you, but like you allow the love that you think you deserve. Wow, I'm very Tumblr today, huh? But it's true. Like you allow the love that you think you deserve, and I would do what Rhea said. Be like, actually, I think I deserve a little bit more than this. I'm not overbearing, and for the right person, I will never be, so yes. I'm outie.
And also, there's a difference between overbearing and wanting to talk every day. I Kellen and I am an extremely independent person, almost to a fault in my relationships. I can be a little bit standoffish. A day doesn't go by that Kellen and I don't speak. Even if we didn't live together, we'd at least speak every day, at least check in.
If your partner doesn't want to even speak to you, I think you know the answer to this.
Absolutely.
I think you know, writing this in, that like you deserve more. Like, think about what advice you'd give your friend or your sister or something, and take that, because like you are selling yourself short.
Also, just based on his 50% ass behavior, the second that you reverse Uno card this man and say you actually want to break up, he's going to change his tune. Don't buy into it. He's only doing it because for a moment he feels like he can't have you, and that's the high, that's the chase he's been looking for. This is unhealthy. Get out, move on, find someone more mature and better.
I agree. Wait, let's reenact how she should break up with him. So I'll be the guy. Okay.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
What? I don't want to talk today. Like, what? What do you want?
You're just making him a total asshole.
Well,
hey, this is our 4th break. We're not supposed to be talking.
I know, and I've actually been thinking about it, and I don't think a break is enough. I think that we should just call this, to be honest. I think it's very obvious that, like, you don't feel as strongly about me as I need. I'm not really feeling fulfilled. I'm kind of over this back and forth. We're both a little too old for this, and I think it's time that we cut our losses and move on completely. So I don't want to be on a break anymore. I actually just think we should be over.
this is the editor's note in this. Saying you're too old for this, a power move.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Baby, I'll change.
I'm not feeling fulfilled in this relationship. I'm sure you'll change for the right girl. That's not me. And I hope you have a great life.
Perfect. No notes. Go into it with that. All right. Last question. Hi, guys. I recently went through a breakup with someone who I was first friends with for 3 years. We turned romantic for a month or so, but he claimed that he felt overwhelmed and freaked out about our sudden dynamic shift and wanted to go back to being just friends. The romance was sudden for both of us, and we both claimed to feel safe and comfortable around each other, which is why he says he fell into it so easily. But after evaluating, he said he wasn't in it, like he should be. I chalk it up to emotional avoidance, but maybe he's just not into me like that. He says he wants to remain friends, and so do I. But when we hang out, it tends to get a little flirty. How do I detach all feelings I built up while still maintaining the foundation of friendship that there was before?
You're not going to get back there.
Here's the thing. I feel like single men and single women, talking about heterosexual couples here, think that because you have a great connection as friends, you should get it to a point where maybe it should be a little bit more romantic.
Yeah.
That's not always the correct response to just having a beautiful connection with somebody of the opposite sex who might be attractive.
To be honest, it sounds a little bit like they're using you.
Really? Is that what you got?
Yeah. It kind of sounds like they're like, oh, this person, like, really likes me. We're really good friends. Like, I should just, like, try to make this romantic. Tried it. Was like, actually, I'm not really that into it. But, like, I still want to be friends and flirt and hang out all the time. But, like, God forbid you're, like, still feeling any way emotionally about this. It just doesn't feel fair to you.
No. I don't think he's like, you have feelings. I think it sounds to me like he might be a little confused himself, but just isn't a good communicator about things.
Yeah.
I think that he's like, I have this connection with you and I think you're hot. So why isn't this working out? And the truth of the matter is maybe you guys, that's just it. Maybe you guys just are friends that are
that's
flirty.
True.
And it doesn't have to get to that point. But I do think it's whack that he was like, we're going too fast. Like, we're rushing into it. Like, it shouldn't be like this. Because then it feels like the ball is in his court and it's not.
Yeah, it feels like you guys definitely, flubbed a little by trying to make it romantic, which is fine.
Mm-hmm. Good to try.
And I think that you can work on the friendship, but you do have to also understand that you took a chance by making it romantic, and it won't ever be what it was before.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can't be friends, but it won't ever be
it's not the same.
It's not the same anymore.
Because
once you've
now
been
you guys
intimate,
know each other that way.
Yeah, it's just not the same.
How do you know when to go that next step with somebody like that then? If you are friends, I feel like I hear this all the time. You're friends with somebody and then you're both hot and you both have this connection and then you give it a go and it doesn't go the same way and you're like, fuck, I love that friend.
I think you just give it. I'm always pro giving it a go.
I'm such a hopeless romantic. I'm like, give it a go.
Give it a go. If it doesn't work out, so what? So you hang out 50% less than you did before. There's a million friends in the world.
You guys will giggle together eventually.
I think so, but don't force it too. I think you're going into it being like, oh, we tried that. Now we should go back to exactly what we were before. That's just not a possibility.
Yeah, honestly, that's a great point. That actually goes with breakups too. I think that you can't dive into friendship right away after a breakup. I think you guys need like a second to just regroup and maybe get to know each other without the other person attached to you first.
Yeah.
And then you can go into it because
you did sort of go through a mini breakup.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I don't know. I feel like that's a cop-out sometimes. I feel like that's just like you wanting to hang out with the person still.
Yeah, it's still wanting that warm body. It's not fair. I think you guys need a little bit of space.
Space it up.
Those are good questions.
We are, dare I say, like, incredible at this.
We just really did amazing.
We popped off.
We popped off. Sorry. That was crazy.
We did. You know what? You're right. We did. What is your last piece of breakup advice for everybody?
Honestly, I'm going to get a little Tumblr for a second. This sounds really oversimplified, but it's true. Follow your heart. Like, you have the answers. I do this funny thing with Kellen where he'll like ask me something and I'll just be like, the answer lies within. I know I sound like a fortune cookie, but it's true.
It is true.
You know the answers. Yeah. You know what you want.
You just want to like talk it out with your friends.
Take all the bullshit aside. Take all the drama aside. Take the selfishness aside. You know what you want. Go for it. Do it. Do the thing. You only have one life to fucking live. And honestly, you're the only one who has to live it. You're the only person who's going to have to look back and be bummed about your wasted time and the things that you didn't do and the people that you didn't go for and the things that you did and didn't do. Like, you're the only one who has to live your life. Like,
you can't get that time back.
You cannot get that time back. Life is literally, I think I said this today on the phone. Life is literally just like waking up over and over and choosing happiness. It is like waking up every day and feeling like you're dying and deciding to either save yourself or rot.
And we are dying.
And we are actually literally scientifically dying.
I like that advice a lot.
Don't waste your youth. I look back and I feel like I wasted a lot of my youth.
Same.
On bullshit.
Same. And I feel like it's so funny because when we were younger, people would say the same thing to us, but like, it's true. Just experience it all. Yeah. Experience it all and feel the heartbreak and feel the happiness. You happy. Yes. My advice would be when you do break up with somebody, just remember like that pain, you will not feel that low ever again. Like the feeling that you felt on a Monday is not going to be the same as you feel on a Wednesday or Friday or a Tuesday of next week. Like that's the lowest that you will feel about that specific situation in that very moment. And it can only go uphill. Lean on your friends. I think it's important to be like vulnerable with your friends about where you're at. And also just like feel it all. Yeah. Like listen to the fucking Lord album so many times. Eat whatever the fuck you want. Cry, whatever you need to do. Experience it all. And just like remember that like nothing was lost if that's what you really wanted.
You are in control of your happiness.
Wow, I loved this.
Yeah, that was a really good episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave it a good review. It really helps us out. Please. We want more 5-star reviews. It's really, 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 really helpful. Comment if you're on YouTube. Leave it a like. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will talk to you later.
Bye.